Hello friends, welcome to the Seated Scribe, a channel where we discuss pens and writing, and I am Rudrashish Dotto. For today's pen review, we visit the house of the German pen manufacturer Pelikan. Having used Pelikan pens since the turn of the century, the pen for today's review is my third Pelikan, and most Pelikan pen users across the world would attest that Pelikan pens usually provide the smoothest writing experiences to its users. And for those of you who may not know much about the history or heritage of the Pelikan company, well, Pelikan began as a manufacturer of inks as early as 1838 in Hanover, and later in 1912 forayed into the business of manufacturing fountain pens, and has since then been known across the world as a company that provides the most reliable and smoothest writing experiences to its users. The pen in today's review is the pastel green version of their M200 in extra fine nib. One primary interest in reviewing a Pelikan in extra fine nib is that usually Pelikan pens are wetter than average and wider than average writing instruments, and an extra fine nib would perhaps give us an idea of the extremities of the lowest width nib edge of Pelikan pens. This information would give potential buyers of Pelikan fountain pens a vivid idea as to what nib thickness would suit their tastes better, since these pens are sold at a higher than average price category, and the scope of experimentation as such through multiple purchases is really narrow under usual circumstances. So without any further delay, let us go to the pen. Well friends, Pelikan M200 has come in a box like this. The outer see-through plastic is sealed with a hologrammed sticker, which I will remove now to get to the box. Let me cut this part. So I am keeping it aside, and so this is the box. Well, it's a unique looking box. The color of this part of the box, the inner drawer styled box, is actually the color of the pen, and on the other end we have some details of the importers and the declaration that this pen is manufactured in Hanover, Germany. So this is a nice looking box. I'll pull this drawer, and here it is, a very aesthetically decorated product. So this is in fox leather, I believe, the outer sleeve. Let me open this. Okay, so this ribbon is actually put in place or stitched in place at the other end. Here is the pen. This is the pen with the pastel green written in a ticket inside this. We'll go to the pen a bit later, but let me examine the contents of the box. So this is a nice looking off-white fox leather sleeve. tracing paper which has this warranty booklet, care manual. Okay, so let me keep it aside. Well, Pelikan pens are usually known for a class which is rare in modern day fountain pen manufacturing. The fact that a fountain pen has to be shipped as an aesthetic product is something that is very close to Pelikan's business policy. And with regard to the other Pelikans that I have and which I've been using for quite a long time, I did detect a similar fascination with dispatching products as pieces of aesthetic art. So let me remove this sticker. This is a sticker which declares the type and the make of the Pelikan product. It's M200, if I can focus it for you, with the pastel green color. So let me just remove it and look at the pen. Well, the shimmer of the pastel green in the barrel is absolutely mesmerizing. Absolutely mesmerizing. Well, it's clearly a product that one can look up to as a product that can be used and looked at with a great deal of aesthetic pleasure. So this is Pelikan M200 in pastel green color. Well, the top of the finial contains the Pelikan logo. The clip is the characteristic Pelikan shaped as a pelican beak. Well, it's not spring loaded, but nevertheless it's fairly functional and a bit on the stiffer side. And this is glossy off-white colored cap. Now let me see what is written in the metallic rim of the cap. It's Germany Pelikan. Yes, so this is it. A small but nice looking cap, and the shape of this section is unique too, as you can see. A wonderful cap. Now let me look at the pen. Well, this is a piston filler. In other words, this section is the controlling section which will actually be activated through an inner piston that will draw in the ink when it is twisted tight, and there is a transparent ink window which will give us an idea as to the content of the ink inside. So this is the barrel section. Now with regard to the gripping section, the gripping section is on the smaller side, but it will fit easily a hand of a medium size. These threads are slightly sharp but not uncomfortably sharp, we do get a feel that there are threads here when we grip this, and there is a flare at the gripping section which will actually couch our fingers when we grip it and give a sense of control on the pen. The other section of the finial is rounded, and this is it. Now with regard to the nib, as I have already said, I have ordered an extra fine for the reason that the other Pelikans that I own are medium nibs. They are good nibs, and they are more on the wider and wetter side, as I have said in the introduction. So an extra fine with a Pelikan would be the lowest extreme at which wetness and thickness of letters can be reviewed and judged, and that is the reason why I had ordered an extra fine version of the Pelikan nib. The nib is wonderfully decorated with that logo of Pelikan with that EF written at the base. So it's a plain and simple no nonsense nib, and we will test it how it writes on paper. The feed is plastic. So this is the pen. Now I will be inking this up for a writing sample on a 100 GSM paper to see how the extra fine fares under actual writing circumstances. Friends, I have already filled this pen up with one of my favorite inks, the Colorverse Blue Black, and now I will be testing this pen on a 100 GSM sheet. At the same time, as a matter of comparison, I would also be writing with my Pelikan M100 in a medium nib, as well as the Pelikan M1000 Sovereign also in a medium nib, to give you an idea as to how the medium and the extra fine compares. Now first with the M200. In extra fine. In Colorverse Blue Black ink. Well, this is an extra fine. See how wet it is. Well, clearly Pelikan nibs are manufactured both on the wetter and the wider side. So if this is an extra fine, we can clearly judge how a medium would write. Now let me test whether there are nib width variations of any nature. No, the nib is fairly stiff. It's wet and stiff. I do get a feeling that the wetness of the nib is actually giving me the sensation of gliding on paper with just a touch of feedback. It's a wonderful writer, and this is actually the reason why Pelikan users usually go for the fine or the extra fine versions, since they are just right in terms of nib width and wetness. Now let me write with a medium nib version of my earlier pen M100 to give you an idea as to how thick or wet it is compared to the extra fine. Now so this is Pelikan M100 in medium. As you can see clearly, a medium is wetter as well as thicker than the extra fine. So this is the Pelikan M100 in medium. And now let me go to the holy grail, as it were, of Pelikan family, the Pelikan M1000 Sovereign, which I have been using for the last 6 years. It's a very wet pen and a white pen. The nib too is a fairly long nib with 18 karat gold in double trim. Now let me see how this fares. I have ground the nib a bit to suit my tastes in using it for calligraphy writing. So this is the Pelikan M1000 Sovereign. So it's far more wet than the M100. This is also in medium nib, as you can see. M inscribed at the base. So this is it. So friends, Pelikan pens are, as I have said in the introduction, wonderful writers. They write more on the smoother side and wetter side, which is the reason why most Pelikan users actually go for the fine or the extra fine versions under ordinary writing circumstances compared to the medium, because the medium inks deliver medium nibs of Pelikan usually deliver a lot of ink on paper, which may not suit some paper which is not fountain pen friendly. So this is Pelikan M200 in pastel green for you. And friends, if there is a scenario where one has to choose one Pelikan, because these are mid-range to higher range costly pens, one may not have that freedom to experiment with nib widths. But if one wishes to buy a Pelikan for everyday carry under usual writing circumstances, one may just as well opt for the fine or the extra fine versions of the Pelikan M series rather than the medium or the other thicker variations. So friends, this is all that I have to present to you with regard to the M200, and thank you for watching. Hope to be back in a few days with another pen and another review. Keep safe and goodbye.